Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for staying until the last section. I was expected that we already have a interesting day with a lot of information about the robots and also the software and the potential of automation role in Vietnam. So that's the potential story. So how about in the real world, right? So today I would like to talk about in the real factory case. For example, imagine I'm a factory manager and I have a real problem, a risk management that I have to solve because there is a whole automation line on the production, but there's one missing component. And then the whole automation floor has to stop, stay cold, and it's gonna affect the goal of sustainability, resilience, and efficiency. So let's start about the discussions today to discover how we're gonna solve the issues and balance the goal that we want to achieve. Thank you. So coming to the first question for all of you, I just want to ask you if a factory want to stay lean, but they cannot risk a lie down. So how the technology is gonna have them to keep the zero stock without any fear of the running out. So who gonna start first?
Talking about stock, I'll jump in. I think at the moment, zero stock, I think we call it invisible inventory, is still something for the future. I believe at the current stage that it is still necessary that we have certain buffers, and I think the goal is not to have nothing, but to have the exact right amount. And talking about resilience versus efficiency, it will depend on how resilient your factory is, how you define the perfect amount. How much are you putting as on a price tag for safety? And how much do you want to have in terms of insight in what can happen? And I think that's maybe how to look at it.
Thank you. So how about you?
Me working for a software company, maybe I tackle it from an additional angle. Yeah, my short answer would be buffer with data rather than with inventory. Yeah? So at the end, try to get as much data, good data, and then at the end get it from a kind of end-to-end visibility. Yeah? And once you have that, you can argument on the data. This allows you, hopefully, then also to reduce safety stock or inventory. At the end, is the target zero realistic? That's regarding resilience. But at the end, data is key. Yeah? And once you have the data, then you more potentially can use and build on that data buffer instead of inventory.
Okay, thank you. That is really useful sharing. So coming to another interesting question, I just want to know, because everyone now is talking about AI, right? So where is actually stopping the supply chain chaos in a factory floor, in the shop floor right now, where it's gonna proceed the work? So
maybe I just build on the data topic. Yeah.
Okay.
Short answer and then a bit additional topics. Well, you rather want to go for speed than perfection. Yeah? And at the end, if you have the data, you can argument it with AI. Be it in predictive scenarios, you move more and more from a reactive mode into an active mode or into a kind of preventive mode. And at the end, that gains your speed. So in the manufacturing, you rather go for speed to really have faster decisions, data backed up decisions, data-driven decisions, rather than perfection.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think despite making sure you have the data and the data points, AI at the moment is a tool, and it depends a little bit on what we ask the tool to do. Do you want AI in order to increase or maximize your efficiency? or do you ask AI to tell you or to help you by avoid any issues in your factory? If you maybe allow me to draw a short picture, if you look, for example, at Switzerland and Germany, 2 countries in Europe, they both have a very similar railway system. They are both out of the 1800s, very old in its core foundation. They both have a lot of traffic internationally, and they both run all trains on one rail. They don't have a rail for the speed train and one for the cargo, or one for the regional train. They run every train on one rail. I don't know who's from Germany or has been on a German train recently. How was the experience?
Actually, right now, my recent experience going by train in Germany, it's actually 2 years ago roughly, and it took me from Berlin to Heidelberg almost 12 to 16 hours. I don't remember the exact.
Okay, so very bad.
Average.
Yeah, I think that's what most of the people here can tell. Switzerland. Anybody from Switzerland? Anybody been on a train in Switzerland? You are not from Switzerland.
Actually, based on the location, I'm coming from Lindau originally, so Austria and Switzerland, I drive them both sometimes. Switzerland is very punctual and very efficient. It's great.
Perfect. You are making exactly my point. Switzerland is very punctual. Why is that? Are the people that work on the railway system better in Switzerland than in Germany? No. Is the railway system fundamentally different? No. The difference between both systems is that Switzerland optimizes for resilience and sustainable efficiency, while Germany tries to put as much volume as possible on the rail every single day. Throughput, throughput, throughput. And complexity punishes that. So if we talk about AI and how AI can help us in a factory, I think we also need to ask the right question to AI, and we need to design the systems in the right way and make a good trade-off between efficiency and effectiveness.
There's just something you should know. Actually, if you break down the codes they put into railway system, the codes the Switzerland put by inhabitants of the country into the rail system is much higher than in Germany. The average codes they put per inhabitant of the country in Switzerland, it's almost a double than in Germany. This is why they can run it coast-wise. They can invest more. They have more possibilities to build the infrastructure in a different way. Germany does not really spend much money for the railway.
Oh,
Shame.
Oh, I don't know about how many billions we spend. I think we spend a lot, but I still believe you. And of course, investments is probably a good addition to the point. If you want a smart factory, it is an investment for sure. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you too. It was good sharing. So I have another tricky question. For example, my local suppliers, most of them use Excel, right? Really manual. But the thing is, my buyer, the end buyer, they want transparent data and reports. So how we gonna close that gap without breaking the budget?
Well, maybe I can take that first, Christoph, yeah, as an employee
go.
for an ERP vendor. Yeah? Okay, get them all to ERP, get them all to S4 ERP. No, that's not a solution. Yeah? I think we all know that scenario, that there are smaller suppliers running on Excel. I say, let them there, yeah, okay, and then take the data, yeah, and then try to use them as a data source and integrate them in your end-to-end integrated planning scenario. Maybe with latest technology, kind of get the Microsoft Excel data readable, accessible with a Microsoft Copilot agent. Get that data into your business AI agent and argue it and bring that data basically into your kind of structured data to really make use of that, rather than spending time pushing kind of 4 or 5 employee vendor into ERP solutions.
I see. How about you?
If I understood correctly, it's about the ROI and how sustainability and automation sometimes can have a high price tag and be not so profitable. I would say that sustainability, of course, it comes with a price tag, but I think, especially when we talk about a reliable manufacturing hub, the cost for safety is usually worth it because a line down will always be much more expensive. I think in reality that conflict barely exists unless you are doing, of course, vanity projects. But if we really talk about making a manufacturing spot reliable and sustainable, it is always going to pay out in the end. And if we talk about green, if we talk about sustainability in regards of green, a short fun fact that I learned about last week that we briefly talked about, the European Union now has put in place the new CBAM regulations. So there will be additional cost for imports for certain commodities out of different countries. And Vietnam has actually a very low rate. I'm not 100% sure how the European Union comes up with it. Maybe because of the energy mix, maybe because of the assessment of the manufacturing technology used and also the product mix coming out of Vietnam. But because Vietnam somehow is being deemed by the European Union as a relatively low carbon emission country in relation to the manufacturing output, for my business, the fasteners that are produced in Vietnam and the manufacturers here will become much more attractive for everybody who uses the products in Germany. So also from a green perspective, I think one way or another, green and sustainability pays out.
Wow. Thank you. So one insight is that if they want to close the gap, they must have SAP.
Yeah, absolutely. I can build on your sustainability topics. Yeah, so we can go on for another 1 hour. Yeah, that's basically the reason why I am here in Vietnam. Yeah, we just last year opened a new software development lab where we also built software for helping our clients kind of tackling sustainability. Yeah. So from a sustainability perspective, we take it kind of embedded. Yeah, really end to end. Sustainability for me is like kind of security. It's all and everywhere, kind of, be it in procurement, be it in manufacturing, be it in shipping and distribution. So at the end, if you kind of want to really get a benefit and advantage out of that for you as a kind of factory, yeah, this is something where I see sustainability to really be baked in end-to-end scenarios. At the end, there are kind of different kind of entities that are asking kind of corporates, for example, our clients, they're coming to us in RFPs. Yeah, okay, what is your product footprint if we run your cloud solutions? Yeah, so at the end, in the same way, kind of in manufacturing, any kind of product also needs to be capable to really report on emissions, energy consumptions. And only if you do so, if you have really the capability across and alongside the end-to-end chain, yeah, then you have a capability and can use that as a USP. So at the end, those manufacturing sites that are able to really have the data, okay, how low emission am I? Am I compliant to operation safety, worker safety? That's an advantage then for every kind of RFP or when a decision to be taken, okay, do I manufacturing my parts here or my parts here? At the end, not only profit-driven, but also emission-driven.
Thank you.
Maybe a long answer, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, that's very useful information. So another question, do you have any input?
No, I just want to say that we use those actually. So SAP is our ERP, and I just can confirm that this is very helpful for us. And as I mentioned before, it will lead to us to try to manufacture much more in Vietnam than before because what we got out of the calculations from SAP and some AI agents that we facilitated as well.
Thank you. So I have another question that I got the other day from a factory because most of the factories I met, they said that sustainability is expensive, costing. So how can we prove that it actually have factory to win more businesses instead of like costing them money and effort?
I can take it, yeah?
Sure.
So if you only take it from a regulations perspective, yeah, and you do sustainability just to fulfill reports, yeah, that's a cost driver, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You do it just to be compliant, yeah.
Yeah.
If you do it, yeah, to kind of get your competitive advantage, yeah, to really kind of be able to show that you are a low emission manufacturer side, yeah, that you potentially reduce waste, yeah,
Yes.
kind of consider also kind of water emissions or water usage. Then at the end, you come to a point where it's an USP, yeah, where you basically compete on a manufacturing side level with the other side. Yeah? At the end, coming back to the answer before, important to really have that data on a product-based level, yeah? That you can show, okay, that product has an emission factor of X, Y, Z compared to the other one in the other factory. And then you're not only doing it as a cost driver, yeah? You're really doing it to really gain business. You have a competitive advantage.
So it's for a long-term development, right?
Exactly, it's a long-term topic. Sustainability, sometimes I think is a word that is loaded very ideologically. And I think the picture that pops up in many heads is a windmill or a solar panel. That's what people think about when they hear the word sustainability. I believe that sustainability is nothing else but doing what is right on the long term, which will give you the longest, highest possible benefit. And from that standpoint, again, then, to double down what I said earlier, there is not really a price tag on sustainability if you do it right. It should always return. Otherwise, it's not sustainable by definition. And I think every factory needs to ask itself how they can make choices that are best for the longest possible time. And that involves the systems, and it involves smart choices and often an investment that people don't want to see. And I mean, again, looking at Germany right now, we have very high energy costs. I don't want to get into politics too much. The fact is the energy costs right now is very high. Is that because we rely too long on non-sustainable energy or energy that simply, it actually does not matter if it's renewable or not. The matter of fact is Germany does not have oil and it does not have gas. So relying on it is probably not a sustainable strategy on a very, very long term. We need to have some kind of an alternative. And of course, there's a price tag with it, but maybe we should have paid that price a little earlier. Of course, I could be wrong. Of course, we should not pay the price at all. But as a country not having any oil and gas, I think probably that's a price tag we should have paid earlier. And that's a price tag that as a factory, you at one point also will need to decide whether you pay it or not. The consequences will come. So again, for real sustainability, I think there's no real price tag.
So
Well,
we better do it right.
Maybe I can add on also on that transactional layer. Again, we're coming from an ERP provider, yeah, what we have since 50 years, yeah, kind of really the processes end to end, yeah, where we kind of track the process and the data from procurement to manufacturing to sales, yeah. You have quantities, you have the dollars, you have the euros, and on that same level, yeah, we need basically the sustainability data. Only then you kind of get the long-term benefit on that chain, and only once you have the data, you can basically also take data-driven decisions. Yeah? You can either go for profit or for more sustainable components, products, but only if you can compare. Yeah? Therefore, we're coming back again to that data point, yeah? Kind of argumented alongside really the end-to-end process chain.
I see. So thank you for sharing. So the last question for this discussion. So in 2026, if a factory can only choose one investment for the sustainability goal, so what it should be in your point of view?
Data points. Yeah.
Best answer. So you all have the same.
I think the only thing we can be sure right now is that you will need data in the future. And the first thing to have data are data points. So that would be my answer.
So they have to start making things clear and clean to be ready for the long term.
To do, sorry, what?
I mean, so the factory need to start making the data clear and clean to be ready for long term.
And make sure they can collect the data automatically in the daily process without any hassle.
I see.
Yeah.
So do you have any input?
Yeah, we did not align before, yeah, but I think my answer would, of course, also go down that line. It's about before kind of buying new machines or whatever, yeah, connecting what's there, yeah, basically connecting the dots, collect as much as possible data alongside the data chain, yeah, and then you at the end can argue. And connecting data may not only be the data that you know inside, yeah, but also kind of unstructured data that they get from outside, yeah, kind of signals, yeah, on weather data, climate crisis or whatever, yeah, that prevents a supplier to deliver, yeah, to really get better from predictive forecasting. And at the end, it's about connecting in the first wave what you know, what is there on the data, and then going beyond.
Thank you so much for sharing. So I think, is there anyone having any questions for the speakers?
For Mr. Christopher, one question. Yeah, regarding AI and forecast, in your opinion, can AI help us bridge gap between the recovery and efficiency by provide response scenario before incident occur? The question for Gradion, one question. Regarding issue risk assets, how can finance department asset value of recovery? Thank you.
Just to repeat, if I got it right, yeah. So basically, can AI help to kind of prevent scenarios or prevent a crisis even before they occur, right? Okay. Yeah, my clear answer would be kind of yes, yeah. So maybe give you a sample from in-house, yeah. I work for SAP, and of course we also have a support unit, yeah, that processes millions of support tickets, yeah. I just got to know that figure beginning of this week, yeah, in a different event. At the end, the number of tickets created, yeah, only with AI capabilities to really prevent customers opening tickets, yeah, basically prevent that an error occurs. That number was basically reduced by 30-40%. Yeah. So at the end, my clear answer would be yes. Yeah, it can help. Yeah, can it avoid completely? Yeah, avoiding is a big thing. Yeah, but preventing, yeah, and mitigating, minimizing. My answer would be clear yes.
So anyone?
Hi. So on the last point you made, I think you both agreed on the data reliance as well as the collection, obviously. But what I see so far is, I mean, Europe is giving a lot of appointments to these companies that, especially on the Vietnamese side, let's put it this way, there's a lot of CapEx expenditure there to be done. Also, there's a huge energy gap, not only in Vietnam, but also it's in Europe as well, as you both mentioned, actually. So relying on data, as far as from my experience, basically, you need to spend a lot of energy. Not only that, but per watt to kilowatt to production, as well as the token costs, which is, I don't think it's going to diminish in the near future because we're not manufacturing enough energy. So what would you be your point on that? Like, how would you address it if you were a manufacturer in Vietnam and addressing this, basically, on sustainability and...
Maybe I can tackle it from that angle. Well, AI and sustainable AI. Yeah? So when we talk about data, we talk about the AI, and we often go in. I think every company has an innovation team, yeah, that got a target by a CEO to build prototypes. Yeah, build me a agentic AI scenario, whatever. Yeah, yeah. I think we all know that one. Yeah. At the end, not every kind of prediction scenario or every kind of data processing scenario needs a super expensive large language model, yeah, that consumes heavy energy. So that's also how we do it. Yeah? We have a kind of AI ethics committee that looks on AI ethics, but also on the energy consumption piece. Before we kind of use an AI scenario for kind of productive use, or we embed that in our standard software, we also go down that path. Yeah? And not every bird to be shooting with an energy-intense large language model, yeah? Can be also a quite low energy-intense algorithm to kind of process that.
Yeah, my point was more on localization. You can use edge technologies, or, I mean, what will be the case? Because I call it like let's put it the platform tax, or like rental, you pay for someone the rent, basically, yeah. Right? So if I were the one to answer, it's like, why don't we localize this, right? And because not everybody has the luxury to innovate on their own as well, and there's a lot of people who's done it. So there's the know-how, actually. And can we mimic this, basically?
So basically, use what's there, what others already processed, and make use of that. Okay.
Yeah, I would say I hope that is in in many scenarios, I hope that's already the spirit of AI, that we have, in a sense, a centralized infrastructure, and that also the modules are learning based on what everybody feeds them with and what they come up with answers. And then hopefully also what answers are being actioned on. So which answers have been good answers. I think this is in general the spirit that we should have in AI. And as far as localization goes, I guess for me, the infrastructure behind it is really infrastructure in its core sense, like a street, like a railway system, like an airport network. I think it must be centralized. And hopefully we will find ways to mitigate the challenges that are coming up through increased energy needs. One gentleman the other day said he wants to put data centers into space. I think a very famous gentleman from the US. Mr. Musk. I think a lot of people chuckle now until he maybe does it. Maybe not. He has some good, some bad ideas, I guess. But I think there's also a lot of change in the technology itself. I think one chance for AI, for example, to be more energy efficient in the future is photonic calculation. I think Trumpf in Germany is working on that with a startup, meaning that chips are not anymore digital. They don't calculate anymore with 0 and 1, but through light signals, which would reduce energy needs drastically and which would also eliminate some of the physical limitations, even of NVIDIA's today's top chips. Of course, that is experimental technology. But I think we will see a lot of developments that will probably make some of the questions that we all have right now obsolete.
Yeah, I want the second word. Christoph said. Yeah? So I compared with the kind of first combustion engines. Hundreds of years ago, they consumed 30, 40 liters gasoline. Yeah? Engineers, technologists, they also reduced the kind of consumption of the engine. There's big hope, there must be kind of engineers to kind of reduce that, and in the same way, then kind of selecting only the kind of model that is really required for the specific use case.
Okay, so thank you for the discussion, and I think we all have a really useful information regarding the goal of sustainability, resilience, and also efficiency. Thank you for today, and thank you for being patient with me.